Yeah, this is it. The perfect evening. My legs are positioned above my hips, which everyone knows is necessary for a serious hangout position. A cold beer is strategically placed in my right hand. My ebook is on the deck at my side, but turned off, as it should be at a moment like this. No action, mental or otherwise, is required right now. Except for a small amount of beer, of course. It's a much-needed moment of calm. I just need to be. And most of all, to be alone. Solitude is the only acceptable state in my current life. The sun is about to set, the colors are warm. The sea is absolutely calm, there is no wind and no sounds at all. It's as calm as it can be. Halcyon, my sailing yacht, is anchored in a small bay off a Greek island. Well, it's not really an island. It's more like a big chunk of rock. This rock has two major advantages: zero population and a great place to anchor. The small cove is deep enough for my 50-foot yacht and not badly protected from the open sea. Anchoring the yacht was quite a challenge since I was alone. I needed a second mooring point because the bay is too small to allow the yacht to turn freely. But manual labor was quite welcome after a day of lazy sailing in the Aegean. Now everything is ready, the beer is cool, and the silence is just perfect. Then my thoughts return to Julia. They always come back when I'm not doing something. I always struggle with it, and the more I try, the more I fail. I rarely think about the good times we had because I have reason to doubt them as well. I lived under the illusion that I was one of the luckiest bastards ever. She seemed so in love too, and it's just a shame there wasn't a camera to capture her performance. An Oscar would have been secured. The anger starts to overwhelm me again. No, stop it. The sea. Look at the sun. It's beautiful. There are pigeons here. Very interesting and underrated animals to watch. Especially now. Relax. I suddenly decide I need to check the moorings again, even though I know they are perfect. I just need something to occupy my thoughts before the damn thing goes back to her. To Julia. To the night I found out the truth. No, stop. Damn it! It's driving me crazy. On a sudden impulse, I jump into the sea and swim a short distance. It helps me clear my mind. It keeps me from getting angry again, from falling into that seething rage that made me avoid other people, especially women. I need to prevent my rage from spilling over onto innocent bystanders, as it has done so often in recent months. My sister Annette told me I was a ticking time bomb. She was right, of course. She's always right. So I decided to live as a hermit. It's the best solution for everyone. But instead of living in a damp, filthy cave where there will never be sunlight, I bought a luxury sailing yacht. I may be disappointed in humanity, but I'm not stupid. I climb back on the boat and decide to occupy myself with cooking. Julia never cooked, but when we wanted to eat at home, it was my job. A lot of things were my job, come to think of it. That bitch? No! Stop! I get the eggs and the mushrooms and start making an omelet. I'm not really hungry, I just need a specific task to keep me busy. Once again, I marvel at the quiet and privacy of this place. It is truly my favorite place in the world right now, and I am just happy that it is public property and everyone can stay here whenever they want. I have rarely seen other boats here, which makes this place even better. I sit on my deck and enjoy a simple dinner in complete silence. The absolute absence of sounds is almost deafening now, as it usually is in the evenings when the wind dies down. It's perfect! I love it when the cliffs are illuminated by the reddish-yellow last rays of the sun. It's an amazing sight. The silence is broken by the noise of a motor. At first I think it's a fishing boat coming home, but the noise gets louder and louder. Finally, I see a huge white motor yacht appear from behind the island. Shit! My quiet, lonely night is already in the past. It's going to be filled with loud and rude partygoers, and now it's too late and dark to drive to another island. Damn it. The closer it gets, the bigger and uglier the thing seems. Loud techno music can be heard now. This is going to be just great. The yacht approaches my position until its bow is only 5 meters away from me. This is no longer a respectful distance. On the bow of the yacht appears a man in a black suit that looks completely out of place in the Aegean. He calls out to me. Hey, buddy. Listen, this is Fulvio Brione's yacht. You know him. He's the king of fashion. He has to shout to be heard over the loud music. I just nod. I have no idea why he's telling me this, and I'm not going to find out. So be polite and get your tiny boat out of here. We need this place to moor, and we need privacy. I only laugh briefly and shake my head. Look, we want to settle this amicably, but it's Mr. Brianet's mooring place you're on. This is public property. I came here first, so this is my mooring spot. You'll have to anchor over there. Or anywhere else, it's none of my business. God, I'm starting to get angry already. I just shrug. His strategy seems to be to piss me off, whatever he hopes to accomplish by doing so. It's not going to work anyway, I don't care about that clown. He walks off astern. I concentrate on my beer again until he returns a few minutes later. How about €1,000 for you if you move? These guys are actually funny. Keep your change in your pocket. Asshole. I just dismissed it dismissively. He disappears again. After a while, the ship moves back to the second best anchorage, which is almost offshore. They anchor their ship about 30 meters from mine, which is too close for my taste, but I can't help it. I try not to get angry, deciding to think of the whole thing as a free show for my amusement. The ship is lit up as brightly as a circus, and some of the people on deck are just plain bizarre. The smartly dressed men strut around like complete idiots. The women are all walking around in high heels and black bikinis. I wonder what kind of deck they have. I certainly wouldn't tolerate high heels on my teak deck. But they seem to be mandatory aboard this ship, as is the general demeanor. The men are busy finding themselves stunning. The women are present for decoration. I'm amazed at the idiotic behavior of these people and how great they feel. They probably don't think too highly of me either. It's like we're from different planets. Besides peacocks and girls in bikinis, there are several guys in black suits on board, obviously bodyguards. There are also people in white uniforms, probably crew members. The girls in bikinis appear to be models, some of them just slim and others extremely thin. It's like watching a conference on malnutrition. My first impulse is to help these poor hungry girls, to feed them. Every now and then one of them looks down at me as I lounge on my boat, and I realize how far apart we are. They, in their glitzy fashion world, are probably struggling to get on with their lives, turning up their noses and entertaining influential people on occasions like this. They probably consider themselves successful and extremely important to humanity. On the other hand, I'm just a lonely, regular guy with a beer in his hand. I'm definitely not a happy person, but I think my life is still much better than theirs. I wonder what the women on this ship are thinking. Maybe they plan to pick up a rich guy to gain wealth and social status by marrying him before they become too old for their jobs, at the ripe old age of 22 perhaps. I realize I have no idea what their world is like. How long can fashion models work? 20? 30? 40? I have no idea. I think again of Julia and her attempt to get rich by marrying and divorcing some unsuspecting rich man, namely me. She had completely fooled me. I did love her, and finding out the true nature of our relationship and losing her hurt me deeply. And it still hurts to this day. My whole life still revolves around her, but in a completely negative way. Some shouting on the deck of a large yacht brings my attention back to the present. One of the women seems to be getting into an argument with a small group of men, one of whom is Brianet himself. He is easy to recognize, for he is the only obese man on board. One of his bodyguards stands next to him, and for a moment it looks like he wants to punch her. It looks almost comical when all of their heads turn in my direction at the same time. Whatever they were planning to do to her, they suddenly realize they have a witness. I just smile and raise my beer in greeting. The fat man and the bodyguard drag her inside for some privacy. Whatever they have in mind for her, things don't look too good from here on out. She seems to have come to the same conclusion and fights them to the last. The other girls and a few men watch on, not reacting in any way. Their lack of compassion amazes me. She's on their boat, there are no police around, she's completely at their mercy. But no one feels obliged to help her. Suddenly, she breaks free and runs to the bow. Brian and his buddies smirk and slowly follow her. They know she has nowhere to run. She belongs to them? This is their ship. They are stronger. They are rich and powerful. They can certainly ruin her career. They are coming at her like predators, closing in for an easy kill. Watching this happen makes me sick. It's not right. I really want to intervene somehow, but I have no idea how to do it. The girl looks around in a panic and yells something to the other passengers, but the jerks just turn away and look away. Just as I decide to get my camera out, the girl suddenly jumps overboard. This surprises everyone, including me. The fall is pretty high, but she jumps gracefully, looking amazing in her high heels. It's a bold move, but it doesn't help her. There's nowhere for her to go. At least I think so, until I realize she's swimming towards me. She still looks graceful, but I can't enjoy the sight any longer. She's about to invade my personal space. What can I do? Send her back to those lechers? Would I be better than them? No, that's not an option. I won't be able to live with myself after that. The alternative is to take her in, sacrifice my precious loneliness. Worse, I'd have to be around a woman I swore I'd never do again. Damn it. Just what I need right now, a woman by my side. Not just a woman, a model. Most likely a spoiled, bitchy girl, constantly whining and complaining, living her bulimia to the fullest. I can almost hear her. I can't eat that kind of salad, it's not even organic. Do you have decent Evian water and not this San Pellegrino piss? I need my avocado in the morning. Why don't you have the essentials on this cartoon ship? Are there places in the world where there are no women? A convent, perhaps? Would I be useful in Gregorian chant? Are these monks really eunuchs, or do they just look that way? She's still swimming toward me. Damn damsel in distress. Possible female company. I'm panicking. It was too late to anchor now, and I could hardly refuse her if she wanted to come aboard. Hell, she looked like she was about to be raped on the boat. All right. I can take her to the nearest port tomorrow. She just made it to the gangway aft. I'll help her, but that doesn't mean I have to talk to her much. Women aren't good for me, I should stay away from them. I am determined that I will never hurt myself again. I have to keep my distance from her. This decision helps me calm down a bit. I don't spend months trying to regain my composure only to have it destroyed by another bitch. She looks at me questioningly, and I simply hold out my hand to help her out of the water. I don't have to say a word, and that's fine with me. I may have a guest for a while, but I'm not going to talk all day long because of it. The situation is clear enough. She knows I witnessed the scene on Brian's ship, and my outstretched hand should tell her I'm willing to help. Wait, she's still in her high heels and about to step onto my teak deck. I just point to her shoes and she immediately understands. Oh, sure, sorry. She starts to take them off. My name is Anna, by the way. Mark. Damn, only a few seconds in female company and I'm already babbling like an idiot. She extends her hand again. Our first handshake doesn't seem to count, since I only helped her aboard. I realize what she means and shake her hand. It's a combination greeting and thank you. She stands up and looks around, taking her time. It's obvious that she's not so much looking around her new surroundings as she is giving me a glimpse of my new guest. Maybe she just wants to give me time to get used to her after I didn't quite voluntarily open my home to her. I think it's a very delicate gesture after she imposed herself on me in this way. I wonder what a woman with a sensitive bone in her body was doing aboard that asshole's ship. I don't need to hear that story, but I'm afraid I'll hear it sooner or later anyway. My new guest is a strikingly beautiful woman, as one would expect from one of Brian's toys. However, she is not as young as I had assumed. She's probably in her early 20s, which means she's only a few years younger than me. Anna doesn't look like the attractive girl from the neighbor's yard. She's not cute. She's not pretty. She's downright beautiful, and there's no point in denying it. If I had just seen her picture, I would have immediately assumed she was an arrogant and self-centered bitch. With a face like that, she just has to be. A well-defined jaw and cheekbones, perfect green eyes, and a perfect straight nose. Not a cute nose, but a thin, perfect model nose. She's a little thin, but she doesn't look hungry like some of the other girls. Her bones don't bulge out and her breasts are small but appropriate. Her hair is still damp and already quite dark, so I can't tell what color it is. But it's long, very long. I thought Julia was beautiful and out of my league. But compared to Anna, she's plain and unremarkable. This woman is so out of my league that it's not even funny anymore. A few years ago, the sight of this jackpot in the Human Genome Lottery would have excited me to the max. But I've decided to keep women out of my life, and I think I've prepared myself pretty thoroughly for that. Of course, given that Julia's maleness was a great motivation, I can appreciate the beauty of this woman as I would appreciate a butterfly or a flower, but she doesn't move me. At least that's what I keep telling myself. After giving me a few seconds to look her over, she looks at me again. Thank you for helping me. She looks a little insecure, almost shy, which surprises me for some reason. Women who look like her aren't supposed to be shy. I expect them to just take what they need and move on. But I realize that she really needs me, and a lot depends on my reaction. I muttered, nodding. I want to make it clear from the start that talking isn't part of my plan. She looks at me puzzled, shrugs, and takes the towel I offer her. After a while, she smiles and probably lists me as a grumpy sea dog, which is fine with me since it's not far from the truth. I look again at the grotesquely lit ship and see Brian discussing something with his two bodyguards. He looks quite animated and points occasionally in the direction of my yacht. Perhaps he is thinking of boarding my yacht to retrieve the girl? Piracy in Greek waters would cause more trouble than even a man like Brian would like, especially for a woman he could easily replace. He's probably the kind of man who doesn't fail at anything, right down to a game of scissors. But what do I know? Don't be too curious, old boy, or you might get more involved than you'd like. Just keep those weirdos out of your life. I turn around and see that she is looking at the same scene with a concerned look. She doesn't look arrogant or cocky now. I hope that fat bastard doesn't send his gorillas to kidnap me. I say in a dismissive tone, shaking my head. He could, you know. He's got 4 guard monkeys he could send after me. Maybe we could just swim away. Tomorrow. I try to speak curtly to keep my distance. Okay. I can't say I'll sleep well. I'm still a little worried. Thanks again for saving me. They were just about to rape me. She doesn't seem at all bothered by my short answers. But what she says surprises me. They? I ask before I can stop myself. Shit, stop, it's none of my business. Yes, Brian, his male guests, his bodyguards, and all the male crew. It seems he made a bet that he and all the other men on the ship would entertain every girl at least once before the ship returned to Italy. All the other girls weren't thrilled about it, but he let them do it anyway. Suddenly I just couldn't take it anymore. Suddenly, I don't know, something broke inside me. I've put up with a lot of things without getting anything for it. But today it became too much. Damn it. Yes. I said no to Fulvio Brione, and one little dive and my career went down the drain. That part of my life is now in the past. She looks a little shocked at her own insight. I just nod and let out some grunt that may or may not sound sympathetic. For all that I look so beautiful, this fashion business is total crap. Yeah, you're right, she continued, even though I didn't say anything. Maybe it's even better this way. There's nothing I can do about it now, right? Leave the old shit behind, try something new. New opportunities will arise. Life is about change. She looks surprisingly cheerful again. How could she just brush off something that completely ruined the life she thought she had? I wish I could. Or could I? Hungry? Really? I'm always hungry, it's part of my job. I've been hungry for 10 years. She laughs. It's magical. Damn, what a woman. No, stop it, you fool. Okay? Just stop it. To distract myself, I go below deck to get her some scrambled eggs. She follows me and looks around. I silently hand her a plate of omelets. It's surprisingly hard to keep a somber mood while she's around, but it has to be done. There's no point in letting myself like this woman, and I'm sure no good will come of it. Oh yes, that looks very appetizing. Thank you. Do you live here alone? I nod, trying desperately to keep my interactions with this woman to an absolute minimum so I don't get infected by her cheerful nature. Do you have any clothes I could borrow? I haven't had time to pack. The smile is back. She's still fabulous. I nod and go to my aft cabin to get her coiffes. I don't know how long I can stay grumpy looking at that smile. Take one of the forward cabins. I hand her the clothes. Thank you. Are they all free? I nod again. Why does a man like you live all alone? How do you keep women at a distance? What? The utter shock on my face brings that musical laugh again. Then she takes pity on my confusion. Never mind. I'm going to change. It's a little cold in this wet bikini. There's a lot more warmth in that smile than there should be in a snooty mannequin, and she turns and heads forward. I stare after her. She's just as gorgeous from the back as she is from the front. I shake my head and try to figure out what she's talking about. Julia told me over and over again that I was just a guy, perfectly ordinary, nothing special or attractive about me. I was lucky to have her, she said, and I believed her. Now this incredibly beautiful woman, a real model no less, was asking me how I keep women at a distance? I figured I had a little time while she changed her clothes and tried to find out. 2 minutes later, she's walking towards me, making my old ripped sweatpants look better than they have any right to. Of course, she's a model, so she has to change quickly and look good in everything. Yet my only comparison is Julia, who can take half an hour to change her shoes. I could get used to a woman dressing quickly, I think, chuckling slightly. Hey, you might have a friendly face. I don't think you're as much of a grump as you're trying to seem. I tried desperately not to smile back at her. It's kind of working. Her hair dries and it's obvious that she's a brunette. It doesn't matter, she'd look good with any hair color. Damn it, stop it, Mark. It's only going to get you in trouble and heartache. Would you mind if I stayed below deck? I don't want to remind Fulvio that I'm here. I say in an affirmative tone. My attempts to stay one-worded are starting to sound ridiculous, even to me. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Would you mind if I borrowed your ebook reader? I nod again and retire to the safety of my quarters, feeling relieved to be alone again. Early morning on the deck. I'm always grumpy in the morning. The cup of coffee that is my only companion doesn't mind. I could stay in bed, but then I'd just lie there and think about Julia. And that's not good. I'm thinking about her anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. She hated my morning nagging. Now that she's not here to nag me, I like the mood. I can sulk all I want about how life, really Julia, has treated me, and there's no one to stop me from doing it. The noise and din from Brian's floating brothel finally stopped around 4 in the morning. Now it looks and sounds like a ghost ship. I bet they don't get up until noon. Good. I hear shuffling below deck. My uninvited guest seems determined to break out of the dummy mental box I've created for her. She's over 20, she's not bulimic, she's not arrogant or bitchy even when I'm almost rude to her, and now she's also an early riser. What's next? She's a certified mechanic? Good morning. Her head appears from the hatch. Good morning. I'm sure my grumpy mood is obvious. Coffee? Galley. She disappears down the hatch. She seems to be as sharp as I am in the morning, though she looks much nicer. I turn around to look out to sea. The smooth surface of the bay is mottled with images of Julia and her lover, intimately connected and smirking at me. Shit. I can hear my uninvited guest coming up on deck. Now that she's had her coffee, she'll be awake and happy and want to talk about things I either don't care about or don't want to talk about. And she'll be smiling her beautiful mannequin smile, don't forget that. Shit. I don't want anyone to cheer me up. I want to mope. Alone. Don't I have that right? Anna, now I remember her name, surprises me again. She doesn't say a word. She sits on the deck next to me and stares out at the calm sea. The air is still fresh and crisp, and the intense Greek sun has not yet begun to bake everything around her. It's strange. All I can see now is the sea. Julia has disappeared. There is silence between us. So what's the matter? She asked suddenly. Do we have a deal? You saved me. What am I supposed to do? She looks a little tense, as if expecting bad news and not wanting to hear it. Has everyone who has helped you in the past wanted something in return? Damn, I didn't want to say that much, and I definitely don't need to learn anything about her past, but her question surprised me. Yeah, pretty much. Well, your life must be pretty shitty then. Yeah, right. Any woman as beautiful as her would have men lining up to beg to do her a favor. Yes, I look at her. She's serious, her pretty face looking completely miserable. I look away, not knowing what to say. This silence is uncomfortable. It occurs to me that getting out of here before Brian and his comrades wake up is a great idea. Is there anything on the ship you need? I'm surprised at how softly I ask her. No. She says it firmly, as if she's giving up her life in the world of high fashion and everything that comes with it. I nod and get ready for the way in. I hope she won't follow me around and try to help me. But she doesn't. She stands by the rail and stares silently at the sea. Is that just the way she is? Or has she guessed that this is what I want? Either way, she seems to know me much better than I would like. I stack our coffee cups in the galley and get to work. I wind and stow the mooring lines. Fortunately, I can do this without using an ace. Setting the anchor with the winch motor will take some time and be noisy, but there's nothing I can do about it. Anna looks anxiously in the direction of the floating brothel as the noise increases. There's no wind, so I'm starting the diesel. I want to leave some distance between me and the Brian in case the anchor windlass wakes someone on the Bordelais. The Halcyon has good speed if need be, but I'd rather just disappear. I can almost see the tension leave Anna as Brianate's yacht gets smaller and smaller and finally disappears from view. She looks even more beautiful, which I had in no way expected. She sits next to me, calm and happy as I stand at the helm. With Brian out of sight, I get tired of the diesel noise. I set the sails and shut off the engine. Ah, blessed silence. Only the wind, the waves, and the sails. I retract the sails and return to the helm. Once again, there is a friendly silence between us. I glance at her from time to time. She sits quietly, looking out to sea. When Brian is out of sight, she looks relaxed and serene. She doesn't seem to care about anything in the world. It's strange, I think. She doesn't look like a woman who just gave up a career that most girls would kill for. If Julia did this, not that she would, but if she did, serene she certainly wouldn't be. Nervous, shrill, demanding, yes. Said Anna, no. Unless... What if this Anna thinks of me the same way Julia does? What if she's decided that since I let her come aboard, I should be the sucker to keep her in the style she's used to? Maybe that's why she doesn't care about anything in the world? Oh shit, I thought, here we go again. Henry Higgins was right. Let a woman into your life and the peace of mind is over. I'm over it for good. I look at her. She turns her face away from me, looking over the harbor rail at the sun-drenched ocean. She looks completely innocent. Of course, I remind myself she's a model. Or rather, an ex-model. They can look any way they want. I look up to check the sails, then to starboard. What did she do to you? My reverie is interrupted. Wait, how does she know that? I stare at her dumbly. Well? Damn, the morning had been almost perfect, and now she had to ruin it. Nothing. I'm just a guy. Sure. Handsome guy, obviously well-to-do, sailing alone on a fancy yacht, trying to hide the fact that he's nice by grunting. What, handsome? I found her first flaw. She definitely needs glasses. You need to talk about it sometime. We're alone here, and I'm a good listener, but I don't want to push. Thank you. Damn it. Am I that obvious? Yes, it is. I throw my head up, but she only giggles. I can't help but smile. Damn, keeping on the defensive isn't working out so well. Okay, I'll take the bait. What do I say next? She even blushed a little. I don't know what you're going to say. I know you try to keep your distance and keep quiet. She takes a deep breath and looks into my eyes. There's a look of determination on her face, though I think I see sympathy in her eyes. Or am I imagining it? You've been hurt, and hurt badly. Your reaction is to curl up in a ball and keep everyone at a distance because you are afraid of being hurt again. It's normal, it's natural. Even animals do it. However, sooner or later you have to turn around and start moving again. You walk and talk, but you are still afraid of being offended, especially by women. I understand that. But you have chosen to cut yourself off from humanity, leaving only your pain for company. You don't see that every time you choose to think about your wounds instead of other things or people, you allow it to hurt you again. Your pain is getting worse, not better. You don't even get sympathy because you cut yourself off from society and no one sees you. I imagine myself suffering in noble solitude, isolating myself so that no one, much less a woman, could ever again do to me what Julia had done. What if I'm just sulking? I decide to lay out the case to her. Maybe she'll shut up and I can think. Or sulking or something. Okay, I was married to the woman who had been my best friend since I was a little girl, but it all crashed and burned. She cheated? Yeah, and in the end, all she wanted was my money. So you can see why I'm a little skittish, especially when it comes to women. That should keep her busy for a while. But it didn't. I'm sorry, I thought it was supposed to be something like that. But now you're letting her continue to hurt you and keep you away from happiness. It's a disgrace that you're giving her that kind of power over you. Look, you're going to have to talk about this at some point. You can't just lock it all away, it's not good for you. And who better to talk to than someone you'll never see again? I look at her in surprise. She doesn't seem to be flirting with me after all. Don't worry, I already know you plan to get rid of me at the next port. So your secrets are safe with me. She paused. How about I tell you my story? I think for a moment. If she's telling me her story, That means she's not asking about mine or trying to get me to relive Julia's pain. That scares me. But what if she had it worse than I did and she handled it better? Then I'd have to open up to this beautiful stranger whose world is completely different from mine. What would happen to me then? She interrupts my musings. So, silence again? She grins infectiously like a mischievous girl. I'm about to smile back at her, but I catch myself thinking. No attachments, I remind myself. Don't let her possess you. Too late, she's still smirking. Damn, she's got me again. I better be careful around this woman. Gradually, her smile fades, and her gaze drifts to the distant horizon. She speaks in an even monotone voice, as if reciting. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew me. Other kids were smarter or more talented, but I was the one who was expected to go out into the big world and do something. To be famous, you know. When the only thing you can do is look pretty, that means a modeling career. I soon discovered that I was at the bottom of the food chain, not at all what it was like to be a princess in my small town. For the first time in my life, I was told I wasn't good enough. Time after time, and in the harshest and most hurtful terms. She turned to me, her eyes pleading for understanding. Mark, when you do something, a project or a report or whatever, and you're told it's not good enough, it's already bad. When you're told that it's you, yourself, that's not good enough, nasty, over and over again, it really does something to you. She paused and turned toward the horizon again. Like a lot of models, doing self-defense, I started thinking of my body as something that wasn't really a part of me. It was almost like a toolbox or a skill set. I did everything I could to keep it in shape. I was exercising, eating right, all those things. But I still wasn't good enough. I was never picked. Then I noticed that the directors were picking girls they already knew. Girls who had hung out with them or someone else higher up the food chain. Hanging out, of course, was a euphemism for sex. Whether the director was a man or a woman, it seemed to be the thing to do. I resisted for a while, but the pressure of not having a job was too much and I gave up. It wasn't that bad. Most of them were attentive, even nice. I had gotten used to thinking of my body as separate from myself. I was just using it to get a job, and I was using it at work. I got a job. Everyone in my small town was beyond thrilled to see me in any catalog or advertisement. I seemed to carry the hopes and dreams of the whole village. So I kept at it even though I knew I would never reach the top and I was beginning to hate my life. I knew some girls who were in abusive relationships, and I began to understand them better. She sighs. I'm not sure what exactly made me change my mind. I'd been on Brian cruises before and knew what was expected of me. For whatever reason, whether it was a bet or a gangbang, I'd had enough. I hid in my cabin until the thugs dragged me out, and you saw what happened after that. She stops and looks at me. They didn't think I had the courage to jump. Perhaps I wouldn't have jumped, but your boat was there and I heard you confronting them earlier in the day. I was terribly afraid last night that Brian would send his thugs after me. Believe me, it was a case where I was glad to be another replaceable hottie. I wonder if I didn't blow their bet. The corners of her mouth lift as she imagines it. I smile back to cheer her up. I still can't get used to the idea that someone might think she's just another pretty face. I'm done now. It's all over. The village will have to find someone else to glory in. So what if I don't have a job and money? I've been through this before and survived. I will never sell my body again or let people tell me I'm not good enough. I don't know what's next, but whatever it is, I know it will be better because I'm free. She smiles at me. I thought she couldn't look prettier, but I was wrong again. The revitalization on her face makes her look radiant. So now you think I'm a whore? She's still smiling and her eyes sparkle like stars. What the hell am I supposed to say to that? Lucky for me, she's probably used to men losing coherent speech when she gives them her grade A treatment. I mumble something about choice and honesty and other nonsense that I'm sure doesn't make sense until she saves me. You know, in a way, I'm a virgin. My mouth drops open and she laughs again. I was right. I could definitely get used to hearing that laugh. Remember, I told you that I began to think of my body as separate from my heart, the real me. So yes, men and women use my body, and yes, sometimes I enjoyed it, but I never made love. I never shared my heart. She looks at me seriously for a moment, and then continues. All I wanted was what my mother had, A quiet life with a good man and a house full of love. For a few years I lost my way, but not anymore. Then the smile returned. She is so determined and optimistic that I feel weak and whiny in comparison. I leave to go downstairs where she can't see my feelings and return with 2 glasses of chilled Sauvignon Blanc. We toast to her future, and I suddenly realize that it's not just her face and body that are irresistible, but herself. I decide to tell her my story so I don't have to think about her. You? Yes, I still want to hear your story. And still with a smile. Am I really that transparent? Yes, it is, but I still want you to tell me the story. Damn, how does she manage that? Well, okay, we'll figure it out later. I'll get started. I met Julia on my first day of school. She was a cutie and some bullies were pulling her pigtails and I made them stop. From then on, I became her protector, she helped me with my homework and kept me from being stupid. My family had money and hers didn't, but that doesn't matter when you're 6 years old. We were inseparable. Then she grew into a beautiful and popular girl, and she didn't want me fighting off boys anymore. She had other things to do. We continued to be friends, but everyone, including my mom, said she was no match for me. I was too ugly. Your mother? There was horror in her voice. That's pretty cruel. Not to mention it's completely wrong. Maybe, but I'm still having trouble with it, even today. Your mom needed glasses or she was drunk. She mistook you for 2 other guys. Hey, don't talk about my mother like that. I frown at her. For a moment, Anna thinks I'm being serious, then bursts into laughter. I smile at her and then continue my story. We went to the same university. She contacted me and wanted to talk to me. She'd had bad experiences with arrogant assholes, as she called them, and remembered how safe she'd felt with me in elementary school. She hinted that maybe I had a chance with her after all. Of course I was over the moon, and before I knew it I had proposed. She said yes, and we were married. I was the happiest guy in the world until I came home and found her in our bed with another guy. I didn't even confront them. I just locked myself in my office and licked my wounds. She nods as if expecting me to do exactly that. She cried a lot, apologized, and promised to be completely faithful and never do it again. I resisted for a while, but I really wanted her back, so I agreed. So you've forgiven her? I nod. I think I would have forgiven one mistake too, but she clearly didn't keep her promise. Anna thinks for a moment. Did she have money when you got married? Well, no, why? You said that after the divorce she pounced on your money. I'm just speculating, but what if she thought that because you had money, you had power in the relationship? What if she felt insecure about that? I loved her. I did everything I could for her. Why should she feel insecure? Maybe dependent is a better word. In any case, I wonder if her cheating was an attempt, conscious or unconscious, to tip the scales. Perhaps to arrogate to herself some of the power and make you dependent on her? What, now you're making excuses for her? Honestly, I'm starting to get a little angry with her. No, it isn't. I don't think there's any excuse for breaking promises like that, at least not real ones. I'm thinking about you. You're stuck in this lonely, isolated place. You're not in pain, but you're also not happy, and you won't be until you start living again. And to do that, you need to understand at least a little bit about why she was so cruel to you. How do you know all this? I try to sound sarcastic, but she doesn't take it that way. She looks at the horizon again. I don't know, I guess I just love. She smiles a sad smile, then turns to me again. Go on. What happened next? I take a deep breath and tell her how my world ended. It all starts so trivial, I'm almost ashamed to tell you. It was a snooker night with my buddies, but the power went out in the pool room. They wanted to go out for a drink, but I decided that being at home with my wife would be more fun. I got home and found our apartment with candles burning and soft music playing. It was one of our special pastimes, you know. One of my buddies must have warned Julia that I was coming home early. I went to get candles in our big bathtub. She was in there, perfectly fine, with a happy exchanging kisses and bubbles with some guy. I stood there looking at them, wondering how to get their attention. All I could think of was clearing my throat. That's the end of the cliché. They both turned to look at me, but neither of them looked upset. They were both smiling at me. A soapy male hand reached out to me and the guy said, "Hi, I'm Andy. Nice to finally meet you." When the soapy lather settled, I saw him hugging my wife with his arms wrapped around each other. And then it hit me what I was really seeing: the end of my marriage. The end of the love of my life. I just stood there, feeling overwhelmed, trying desperately not to burst into tears like a child. The two lovers looked at me with comfortable sympathy. Apparently, the water in the bathtub hadn't had time to cool down yet. "Mark, don't take it so personally. It's no big deal. I still love you as I always have. It doesn't threaten you or our marriage. Nothing has to change." She could speak Icelandic if she didn't make sense. "Are you saying you plan to continue this?" "Of course, Mark. I love you both. I'm sorry you found out this way, but it was bound to happen anyway, so maybe it's for the best. I'm glad you met Andy. I think you'll like him." I didn't know what to say and just stood there. Taking my dumbfounded silence for approval, Julia smiled and continued. "You see, Mark, I've discovered that I love two men. Andy has already come to terms with it, and I know you will too when you see how happy we all are. You're my husband, so of course I'll be with you most of the time. Although now that you know, I'll be spending some nights with Andy. I'll do that when you're out with your buddies. You won't even miss me. Of course, when we decide to start a family, he'll have to wear a condom so we know the kids are yours, right, Andy?" Andy nodded enthusiastically. "You see, Mark, our marriage will be stronger and everything will work out well." "What about your promise to be faithful?" "Oh, that. Well, I guess I was a little hasty. Besides, I hadn't met Andy yet." "Does that justify your breaking your promise?" "Oh, Mark, don't be so melodramatic. Think about it. Andy and I have been dating for over 2 months now. Have you grown to love me less? Less affection or sex? No, you've had better sex since I've been dating Andy, and you know it. He's no match for you, Mark. You see, Andy's the artistic type, unpredictable, spontaneous, the opposite of you. You're a better lover because you know me so well, but I enjoy him too because he surprises me. I love you, Mark. You won't lose me. It shouldn't be a big problem unless you make it one yourself." She had an affair for 2 months and I didn't realize it. She wasn't sorry, she just demanded that I get over it. Her promise of fidelity was worthless. I felt the pain start to creep into my heart as I looked at my smiling wife and her lover. What if I don't agree? She was still smiling, but now there was some reproach in her smile. "I hate to tell you this, Mark, because I love you and I hope it never happens, but you need to know. If you divorce me over this, I have to protect us. Andy and me, you know that. I'll make sure I get at least half of everything you have. I don't want to, but I'll do it if I have to. Mark, don't look so sad. Remember that I've loved you since you were 6 years old. The choice shouldn't be so hard. Continue to enjoy everything you have now, including a loving wife, or lose me, your home, and half of everything you own." She and my lover smiled their warmest smiles at me, inviting me to accept my betrayal at their hands. I'm sure I had the same dumbfounded look on my face that a cartoon character gets when he's hit over the head with a brick. Andy had to put his paddle in again. "Hello, Mark? It's Mark, isn't it? Why don't you stay and join us?" "Oh, that's a great idea." Julia came in delighted before I could say anything. "Come on, Mark, don't be such a patsy. It'll be fun, you'll see." She scooped up a handful of water and blew it on me, then kissed Andy sweetly on the nose. "I'm done." I turned and walked away. I could hear them talking softly amongst themselves, chuckling occasionally. I didn't realize I had said something funny, but you never know. I packed a small overnight bag and left. I pause. I was so engrossed in the story that I had forgotten Anna's presence. She was right. I needed it. I got a hotel room and did about as you'd expect. I cried, cussed, beat my fists on the mattress, and eventually fell asleep in the chair with my clothes on. None of that changed. When I woke up, however, something had changed. Julia was no longer the little girl I had protected or the wife I loved. She was now my enemy. The only thing I cared about was protecting my assets from her and my lover. Not that I needed the money, but paying her to sleep with me was just wrong on principle. I had one great advantage that my dearest spouse didn't know about. At the time, my wealth wasn't really mine. I was living off a trust fund set up by my wily grandfather. He had a black humor and a deep distrust of women in general. He decided that I would receive a monthly allowance until, at age 40 or after my first divorce, the entire fortune would vest. He said that in both cases I would have gotten to know life by then. Legally, I had almost no assets at the time Julia destroyed our marriage. Ironically, our divorce was supposed to make me rich. I immediately went to a family lawyer who assured me that the worst that could happen was a small alimony for a limited time. I really didn't want to give her a single euro, but it was a decision I could at least come to terms with. He sorted out the details, made sure Julia couldn't run away anywhere, and filed for divorce. He said things would start to get interesting in a couple of weeks when she realized the new situation. In the meantime, I rented a nice apartment and moved the few things I wanted to take from the old one into it. Julia didn't try to contact me for a whole week, and then all I got was a message asking me if I had dealt with my hurt feelings and was ready to come home. I didn't respond. For someone who loved me so much, she didn't seem to miss me. My lawyer turned out to be right. 2 weeks after we met, the flurry of texts and messages started. Her lawyer must have told her she wasn't going to be as rich as she thought. At first, she said that if I came home, she would see how much she would love me and how much stronger our marriage would be. Then she said it was all just a big misunderstanding and she was sure we could make it right. And finally, she just told me to be courageous. After all, Andy had put up with it, why can't I? Suddenly, everything stopped, and a couple days later, her lawyer prepared a post-drug agreement that gave her $20,000 a month for life if we divorced, and said I signed it. This was stupid because after the handwriting experts did their job, Julia's credibility was practically nil. Then they tried to accuse me of domestic violence, but they couldn't provide any evidence. In the end, they decided not to dig themselves an even bigger hole and agreed to what we offered, which was now down to $2,000 a month for a year and good bills from her lawyer. I won. But I also felt like shit and ran away like a rabbit when a woman approached me. So I became a hermit. I'm going quiet. The only sounds are the wind in the rigging and the waves under my nose. Anna doesn't say anything. I look at her. Tears are streaming down her face. You know what? She's still beautiful. I'm so sorry, Mark. That's a terrible thing to say. I understand why you're in so much pain. The funny thing is, after I told her the story, I wasn't in as much pain. I wouldn't have realized it. But Mark, you can't go on like this. Don't you see? She's not worth losing your life over. She never cared about your happiness, and now you're letting her make you miserable. She speaks with strength, determination written on her face, even as the tears dry on her cheeks. Mark, you have to live. If you don't, you're letting her kill you. I flinch. It's pretty harsh, but I can tell she means every word. She lets me think about it for a while before she breaks into my thoughts. So you're a hermit? That quirky, teasing smile reappeared on her face, and the glint in her eyes was back. Yeah, I guess so. Yesterday I would have been proud to say that. Now I'm not so sure anymore. You've got it much better than those hairy bearded guys. Fortunately, yes. Promise me you'll leave this behind soon. You need to start living again, Mark. Her voice is soft and warm. I look into her eyes and see that she cares. A lump forms in my throat and all I can do is nod. She pulls back from this moment. Good, she says. Now that that's taken care of, I can get some sun. Her smile simultaneously mocks me and invites me to watch her as she gracefully stands up and walks to the bow. Did people really tell this girl she wasn't pretty enough? Horror. I accept her invitation and enjoy the view as she stops right in front of the mast, rolls up my sweatpants into a pillow and reclines on the deck. There's certainly nothing more attractive than her here, and I'm sure she knows it, even though she's very cute. Her loose long hair flutters and catches the breeze. She looks perfect enough for a magazine cover, even when there's no one to take the picture, but that's not all. She's kind. People don't realize how important ordinary kindness is, but she's not ordinary. She empathizes. She cried when I told her about Julia, and it made me feel less hurt. Is she telepathic? I hope not. But for someone who met me less than 24 hours ago, she knows me and my thoughts pretty damn well. But is she right about me? Should I give up my isolation? I know I can't go through what Julia did to me again. I would die. But if I'm already letting Julia slowly kill me, like Anna said, what difference does it make? I'm still looking at her, pondering. What's wrong with her? She's left her old life behind just as I have, albeit in a slightly more dramatic way. Where I hide from the world for fear of being hurt, she seems eager to get out and get on with her life, though she has no idea what that might be. What's more, her attitude is contagious. Just being around her, I'm not so afraid to live anymore. I feel like with her, I can know. She's way out of my league. Maybe there's a girl somewhere, similar to Anna, but not as gorgeous that I could build a life with. My imagination runs free and my eyes watch mesmerized as Anna's smooth belly slowly rises and falls, and her high round breasts are almost completely exposed by tiny scraps of black fabric. Mark? Oh, damn, she caught my eye. I thought she couldn't tell because of the sunglasses. Maybe models can always tell, I don't know. Where are we going? She asks the question as if she really doesn't care. Naxos. So this is where you were going to leave me? She rolls over onto her back, takes off her sunglasses, and smirks at me. No, I won't leave you, I won't, but no, it's not that I want to. Oh, shit. She's laughing now. I'm sorry, Mark, I shouldn't have done that. I know it's not nice, but I feel like I always know what you're thinking. And it's been so long since I've had someone to tease, someone to be lighthearted with and just have fun. Forgive me. I smile and nod. I think I'd forgive her anything if she'd just look at me like that. And then the all women are selfish bitches voice reminds me of what women are capable of when they think they'll be forgiven. No, Mark, I'm not. She says it softly and seriously. Damn, she's doing it again! I feel like she knows why I need to hear it and doesn't mind repeating it as often as I need to. Wait, am I reading her? What's going on here? So I'll leave the boat on Naxos? No! I mean, not unless you want to or you really need to, but you can if you want to. I really like you here, but I wouldn't... Oh, shit. You can stay as long as you want. She likes my stuttering too much. I take a deep breath. I was planning on stopping by there anyway to stock up on supplies, and you might want to pick up some clothes. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What's the matter, sailor? Not enjoying the view? She stands up and leans against the mast, posing like a glamour girl. I oohing and ahing, she laughs, then gets serious again. You know I don't have any money or debit cards, and I don't know if I can get to my bank accounts from Naxos. I may not be able to pay you back, at least not right away. I pretend to contemplate the situation as I walk over to her. Well, maybe I'll figure out a way for you to pay me back. I try to keep a straight face, and apparently I succeed. She gets this look on her face like, oh no, not him. How are your knots? I ask, still with a straight face. She pulls away from me slightly. What's with the knots? There was a slight tremor in her voice that I hadn't heard before. Sailor's knots. Halcyon doesn't sail herself, you know, and since you're here, you might as well help. I smile and she laughs and slaps my arm. I got you, didn't I? I enjoy laughing at her for once. Looks like someone else has gone too long without a little light-hearted fun, she smiles at me. We sit on the foredeck facing each other, and I start teaching her some knots. Even though the sail covers us from the fierce Greek sun, it's still hot, so I take off my shirt. Every now and then we catch each other's glances and smile. It's weird to have someone who looks like her looking at me like that, but not so weird that I can't get used to it. I haven't been this relaxed around a woman in a long time. We trim the foresail more for practice than anything else. She's more athletic than I would have guessed, and watching her move is a pleasure. My bikini-clad guest helps me unmoor Halcyon, and I become the envy of the entire waterfront. She follows my instructions flawlessly and looks like she's been doing it all her life. If I used to think she was just another brainless model, I definitely know better now. She pulls on my sweatpants and we head into town. Our first stop is at the bank, and as she feared, Anna can't access the money in her accounts in Italy and Germany without an ID or debit card, so she shops on my dime. My cynical self expects her to act like a stereotypical model and buy at least 2 things out of everything in sight, so of course she doesn't. She buys a few sundresses, some shorts and tops, and asks my advice on what shoes to buy her. Everything she buys is good quality, but nothing garish or garish. I go shopping for groceries and supplies while she does her underwear, and by the time we meet in the town square, we're both thoroughly loaded. When we left the docks, I grinned as I watched her sweating in my sweatpants in the midday heat. She's wearing a light sundress now, looking gorgeous, and now it's her turn to laugh when I stare and stare as she drags me along. Surely half the male population of Naxos would like to be in my shoes. We climb aboard, stow our purchases, and relax a little. Anna looks at me seriously. Every time I think I'm getting used to her beauty, she looks at me differently, or holds herself differently, and I'm stunned again. "Thank you, Mark," she says. "I have some savings, and I'll pay you back." "Maybe you should hold on to your savings until you get a job or something?" "Well, maybe, but I don't like being in debt to my friends." Her smile is soft and sweet, her eyes warm and gentle, and I panic. Everything is happening too fast for me. "We're friends," she repeats. "Friends help each other, like you helped me last night, even when you didn't really want to." We both know she's right. Friends don't hurt each other, and no matter what happens, Mark, I won't hurt you. Not ever. And we're comfortable together. I tried to remember how long it's been since I've been comfortable with a man. No expectations, no pressure, just friends. I can't even remember when that was. You're getting comfortable with me too. There's one more thing. You know how I always seem to know what you're thinking? How can I read you? You're the only person I can do that with. Damn, I try to look disappointed. I was hoping you could read everyone like that and we could rule the world. We laugh together, and she stares at me for a moment. "So, friend, what are the plans for tonight?" "Well, friend," the word comes out before I can stop him, and it surprises me, but it's the right word. "I don't have a single clue. I'm known as a man without a plan." "Good," she says, smiling, "because I have one, and it's perfect. You're going to take me ashore to that nice seafood place we spotted, and we're going to have a wonderful dinner together. And then? And then we'll come back aboard, and I'll tell you the rest of the plan." We go ashore for dinner. The seafood place is unpretentious. For a moment, I wonder if Anna will think she's slumming it. I'm pretty sure no mannequins have ever been there, not even former ones. But apparently the place has been around for generations, and it's clean and well-maintained, so I have high hopes for the food. Of course, all eyes are on us as we walk into the restaurant and make our way to our table. I know Anna is used to this, but I'm not. She senses I'm uncomfortable and snuggles up to me. "It's okay, Mark. I don't mind them looking at you. I'm not jealous." We laugh, sitting up. Fortunately, places like this don't mind if you laze around for a couple hours at dinner. In fact, they take it as a compliment. A couple times, the owner stopped by to say how much he enjoyed us enjoying his food. If his true motive is to get a closer look at Anna, so what? I can't blame him, and the food is good. There's something special about seafood that was swimming just a few hours ago. Most importantly, Anna is enjoying herself, and to my great surprise, so am I. Finally, we rise from the table. The host and the waiter, Sun-3, I believe, see us off and we stroll along the waterfront before returning aboard the Halcyon. Anna holds my hand. She says little, I say nothing. We're on board. I walk up the gangplank and turn to her. She presses against me, gives me a light kiss on the lips and pulls back. I can't tell if the sparkle in her eyes is a reflection of the lanterns on the shore, but she's irresistible as always. "Thank you," she says quietly, almost a whisper. "I can't remember the last night I enjoyed it so much." She looks away for a moment. To hide her tears? After a moment, she turns to me again, smiling slyly. "So, are you ready to hear the rest of the plan?" "Sure, I guess," she laughs. "Are you sure?" She winks and raises one eyebrow slightly. Her voice from earlier resounds in my memory. "Promise me you'll start living again, Mark." "Okay, I'm ready." "What do you have?" I put my hands on my hips in my best pose of readiness for anything. "This is where I seduce you." My eyes get big as saucers, my mouth opens, my hands fall to my sides. "Seduce. And then you—" She smiles at me like I'm some kind of tightwad, which is exactly how I feel. I mumble something to her. She giggles. "Well, there's a part of you that knows what I'm talking about." Her gaze drops to the tent that has suddenly appeared in my crotch. Oh shit. She hasn't undone a single button, and I'm already harder than ever. "Anna, I thought you didn't want to have sex so soon after." I was proud of myself for managing to say so much. Oh, don't worry, Mark, we're not going to have sex. Eh? I seem to say that a lot. We're going to make love. The serious eyes, the sweet smile, the warmth of her soul. I feel myself falling in love with her. Anna, you can have anyone you want. Why me? We're falling in love. Haven't you noticed? Panic rises in me again. Mark, I'm not Julia. I could never do to someone what she did to you. She says it softly but seriously. I believe her. Without saying a word, she grabs me by my shirt and kisses me right on the lips. Damn, it feels so good. It's almost magical. It's like I've never kissed a woman before. When we finally break our connection, I see that she's crying. To my surprise, I feel my eyes become moist as well. Our connection is almost frightening. She stands up, and I realize she is still holding me tightly by my shirt. She roughly drags me behind her, rushing towards my quarters. Then she pushes me onto the bed. You're incredibly beautiful. I'm still basking in the afterglow, trying to realize what just happened in my life. Why did this dream woman choose me? Was it because of my money? I can't think of any other reason. Suddenly, I raise my head and look at her. She was watching me too, a satisfied expression on her face. No, Mark. No? Because I love you. Not because of your money. Don't get me wrong, sure, money makes life easier. But being with a man for his money is the last thing on my mind right now. The thought alone repulses me. I'll sign any prenup, no problem. A prenup? Well, sure, in case we ever get married. You never know. She smiles slyly, and after a few seconds I laugh. It seems my fate is already sealed. Well, it could be worse. What? Am I crazy? And even if the thought never crossed your mind, I'm on birth control pills, and you're the first man I've ever been with without a condom. So you're safe. My God, what an idiot I've been. She laughs again, seeing my reaction. You're so sweet, Mark. Mark, we need to think about where we go from here. Well, the home port of this ship is Antibes. I'm not sure that's what she was talking about. Okay. Do you have a car there? Yes. Big? X5. Okay, this is one of those SUVs, right? We'll drive to Milano from there if you don't mind. We can pick up my stuff there, the tattered remnants of my old life. Oh, sure. Anyway, it's almost on the way to Germany. Okay. We're going to have a lot of fun. I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm going to enjoy it. Your job? Yeah, I have to convince this guy that good women exist. Oh. So you want to open it up to members of the female gender again? What, are you kidding? Absolutely not. My reasons are purely selfish. I'm afraid I seem rather boorish. It's too good to be true. The 4 weeks it took us to get the yacht back to Antibes can be described as perfect. We spend them with sex, and yes, some more sex. We also bask in the sun, eat delicious food, and visit various harbors. We don't talk about the future, divorces, diets, fashion, and the past. After arriving in Antibes, we pack up, clean the boat, and load everything into my car. After locking the boat, we look at each other with what we think is longing. We have both enjoyed our time together on this boat, and we both fear that now the cold reality will take over, that everything will change. We don't talk about it, but we know each other well enough by now to realize it. The trip to Milan and to Germany passes in uncomfortable silence. After she ran away from that guy Brion, I tried to stay as grumpy and quiet as I could, but now I wish we had something to talk about, to allay our fears, to release the tension. I don't know what she's afraid of, but I'm afraid of losing her again. To be completely honest, I fell completely in love with her, and I'm afraid of getting hurt again. We've been living in my apartment for about 4 weeks, but the spark has somehow disappeared, replaced by an underlying tension. The sex is still good, we like living together, we enjoy each other's company, but we are no longer as relaxed as we were on the yacht. I'm seriously considering going back there in an attempt to save our crumbling relationship. I don't know what else I can do to stop it, and we both avoid the subject. We're watching something on TV now, and I realize again how unattractive the program is. She snuggles up to me, resting her head on my shoulder, which is much more attractive. I'm seriously considering retiring to my bedroom for a little entertainment when the doorbell rings. Anna still refuses to answer the door or answer the phone in my apartment, and it's starting to annoy me because it shows that she's not quite at home here. Okay, Anna, I'll get it. Thank you. I open the door and see my nightmare standing there. Julia. Dressed to the hilt, beautiful, evil incarnate. Oh, honey, you're finally here, she exclaims and rushes over to me. Disgusted. She doesn't mind that I don't reciprocate and just steps back, watching me. My goodness, don't you look good? Have you been in the sun a lot? It suits you. Thank you. Aren't you going to invite me in? Please come in, Julia, I hear behind me as I think about how to get rid of her. Frowning, I step aside. Thank you. And you? Anna. I'm Julia. I know. What a strange conversation, I thought, closing the door. Their voices are suddenly harsh. If their words had been daggers, the floor would be soaked with blood right now. Please have a seat, Julia. Thank you. I'm still not talking. So you're a friend of Mark's? I'm his girlfriend. Are you getting paid for this? Are you asking if I'm a prostitute? Well, honey, let's not get down on ourselves. You're not bad looking. Mark's pretty damn rich. I wouldn't suspect a prostitute, but maybe some kind of escort service? No, I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to interfere with your business. What? That's ridiculous. So you didn't marry him for the money? No, of course not. It was just a big misunderstanding during that unfortunate divorce. We should be together. I really do love him. Me too. Honey, let's face it. Mark is a nice guy, but he's out of our league in terms of looks. So I won't believe for a second that you're here for love. Okay, sweetie. Let's talk about leagues here. I'm definitely not in yours. Oh, don't exaggerate yourself. Not true. You're decent looking, but I'm model quality. Now let's talk about Mark. He's handsome, built like a brick house, honest, open, and caring. He's just a 1 in a million find. I'd love to have him. If he asked me, I'd marry him in a heartbeat. Really? I ask, completely stunned. You just want his money, bitch. No, I'll gladly sign any prenup. Really? I ask again. Of course, you fool. What do you think I've been waiting for all this time? Why do you think I've been on edge ever since we left the boat? What? Mark, please don't. That bitch Anna is no good for you. You need me. I still can't believe my luck, but I slowly get up and move towards Anna. Anna. No. Mark! Don't! Yes, Anna grins from ear to ear. Anna, could you? Mark! Someone grabs my shoulder and tries to stop me. I hardly notice it. I'm in a kind of daze. But I love it. It's like a dream come true. I realize that I've been expecting Anna to leave me for good for 4 weeks now that she's back in Germany. Can I really have her? Unbelievable, damn it. Yes. I will. Anna, please marry me. Yes. I can't finish that damn sentence. No, Mark. Julia finally let go of my shoulder, and Anna jumped into my arms. Yes. Damn it. This can't be true. Mark, don't do this. Really? Really? Yes, Mark. Finally. I thought you'd never ask. I was so afraid. This time I silenced her by kissing her. Looks like I'm no longer needed here. Mark, I would have been so good for you. But instead you chose that bitch and let her gut you. You're right, Julia. What? You're not needed here anymore. I'm glad you came. This is the best thing that could have happened to us. The best thing you've ever done for me. Julia, I wish you all the best. I've forgiven you. It doesn't matter anymore. But if you'll excuse us, we have some things to finalize. Anna, don't touch him, okay? I won't. Not like me. Anna and I look at each other in surprise as Julia walks to her door, the front door, and we walk to the other door, the bedroom. I have definitely changed. I have to thank Fulvio Brione and Julia for making this dream possible. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. So subscribe to my channel and watch the next video.